Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. February, approximately 0115 hours. A National Guardsman on a solo night land navigation exercise is moving through a section of hardwood forest in the installation's northern training area. No moon. Temperature around 12 degrees. He has his compass, his protractor, his map, and a red lens flashlight that he is keeping off as much as possible because light discipline is being evaluated. He has been alone in this section of trees for about 40 minutes when he hears something moving parallel to him, roughly 20 meters to his right. His first thought is deer. His second thought is that whatever is moving is not moving the way deer move. It is pacing him, not approaching, not fleeing, matching his speed, adjusting when he adjusts, stopping when he stops. He stops. He waits. He listens. There is a sound that he will later describe as the sound of something very large shifting its weight in dry snow. He clicks on his red lens for 1 second, aimed in the direction of the sound. What he sees in that single second of red light, 30 feet away, between two oaks, at a height that clears the lower branches, is something he will spend the next 27 years finding no adequate explanation for. This episode is not about one account. It is about what happens when you collect accounts from military training areas across the country, spanning 5 decades, from service members in different branches who did not know each other and were not coordinating their stories and realize that they are all describing the same thing. A tall figure, pale, hairless, moving low to the ground when it chooses to move, but capable of standing at a height that makes no biological sense for anything on the known record. Black eyes, when the eyes can be seen at all. No apparent reaction to noise or light in the way that animals react. Not fleeing. Watching. The accounts that follow come from Wisconsin, California, North Carolina, post-war Germany, and the Pacific Northwest. They span from 1946 to 2019. None of these men put what they saw in an official report. Here is what they saw. Wisconsin continued. The guardsman held his position for several minutes after clicking off his light. He did not move toward what he had seen. He did not call it over his radio. He completed his land navigation course, found his endpoint, and said nothing to his team until the following morning, when a different soldier in the rotation mentioned without context that he had heard something moving alongside him in the northern area the previous night. The second soldier had not used his light. He had not seen anything, but he had heard the same pacing behavior in the same section of forest within the same 2-hour window. The guardsman asked him what he thought it was. The second soldier said he did not know, and that he had decided it was better not to think about it until he was done with the exercise. This is a remarkably common response in these accounts. The professional context, the evaluation, the stakes, the presence of peers, tends to produce a specific kind of functional compartmentalization. You file it away. You finish the mission. You think about it later. For some of them, later turns out to be decades. The guardsman who used his light described what he saw to an online forum in 2013. He was specific about the location, the northern hardwood section of Fort McCoy's primary maneuver area, and specific about the physical details, height between 6.5 to 7 feet, proportions wrong in a way he struggled to articulate, beyond saying it looked like something had taken a human skeleton and stretched it lengthwise. Pale enough to be visible in a single second of red light at 30 feet. Standing still. He said he never reported it because he did not believe anyone would take it seriously, and because he had no way to explain it that was not going to damage his credibility with his unit. He was not alone in that calculation. Bridgeport, California, Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center, 1998. The training area sits at approximately 6,000 feet elevation in the eastern Sierra Nevada. The terrain is exposed, cold, and remote in a way that is qualitatively different from the forested training areas in the Midwest. There is less cover. The The rock faces are visible from a distance. At night, in clear mountain air, visibility through optics is better than most environments the Marine Corps trains in, which makes what a fire team of Marines encountered on their third night at altitude harder to attribute to low visibility error. The team was in a patrol base position on a slope above a draw, standard night defensive setup, 2-man watches rotating every 90 minutes. During the second watch rotation of the night, the Marine pulling the northern sector observed a figure on a rock face approximately 100 metres above their position. Rock faces above a patrol base are a tactical concern. That is not a paranormal category, it is a manoeuvre element concern, a sniper position concern, a standard reason to look up and pay attention to high ground. The Marine who saw it was doing his job correctly when he picked it up. The figure was not moving. It was crouched against the rock surface in a way that, in his description, made it look less like a person standing on the face, and more like something that had pressed itself against the stone. Pale. No equipment visible. No silhouette consistent with gear or uniform. He watched it for 5 minutes. It did not move. He woke his team leader, who glassed the position through binoculars. The team leader saw it too. They agreed it was a figure. They agreed it was not behaving the way a person behaves on a rock face at night. They did not have a third category available to them. By the time the team leader decided to radio it up, the figure was gone. In the morning, the rock face showed no signs of approach, no scratch marks, no toehold disturbance in the sparse soil between the outcroppings. Whatever had been there had not climbed to that position, and whatever had left it had not climbed down. The team leader noted it verbally to his platoon sergeant, who told him to write it up as a probable civilian or local wildlife and move on. He did. He also told his Marines quietly to sleep in full gear that night. Camp Mackall, North Carolina. Attached Training Area, Uwharrie National Forest, 2007. Camp Mackall is the primary training site for Special Forces assessment and selection. The surrounding Uwharrie National Forest is mixed pine and hardwood, flat in some sections, cut by creek drainages in others, dark in a way that is consistent and total once you are more than a few hundred metres from any road. The account from this location is different from the others in one specific way. There were 4 witnesses to the same event at the same time. A small unit was moving through a night navigation phase of their exercise, spread in a loose file, when the point man stopped and held up a fist. No radio traffic, no verbal. Just a fist, which in that context means halt immediately and do not make noise. The 3 men behind him stopped. The point man was looking at something to the left of their line of march, in the understory between 2 drainage ditches. He had his night vision goggles up. The second man moved up quietly to see what he was looking at, brought his own optics up, and immediately lowered them again. In that man's account, shared on a veteran forum in 2016, he describes what he saw through his night vision goggles as follows. A shape that was low to the ground, pale enough to bloom in the night vision image, that transitioned from horizontal to vertical in a single motion, from all fours to upright in the time it took him to register what he was seeing, and then it stood there, at a height he could not reconcile with the scale of the trees around it, looking at them. The 4 men held position for what they estimated was 3 minutes. The figure did not approach. It did not move. It stood between the drainage ditches and observed them in the same way they were observing it. And then it went horizontal again, and it was gone into the understory without making a sound that any of them heard. None of them reported it. By their own accounts, the shared experience was processed in total silence. They finished the navigation phase. They did not discuss it among themselves until several weeks later, when one of them brought it up and found that all 4 had been thinking about it independently. 4 trained military personnel with night vision equipment in a controlled exercise environment. They all agreed on the height. They all agreed on the movement from horizontal to vertical. They all agreed it was pale. They disagreed only on the details of the face, which 2 of them said they could not look at directly through the optics. Without a specific physical sensation, they found difficult to describe. One used the word wrongness. The other used the word pressure. Germany, October 1946. This account is the oldest in the collection and the most difficult to source directly, which is worth acknowledging at the outset. A staff sergeant in the 4th Infantry Division, stationed in post-war Germany during the occupation period, submitted a written account to a military chaplain that was preserved in a small archive of similar documents gathered by a chaplain's office in the late 1940s. The archive was not formally catalogued until decades later. It surfaced during a digitisation project in the mid-2000s. The sergeant described an encounter during a night patrol near a forested area in the German countryside. He encountered a creature at the edge of the tree line, pale with hollow eyes, and wrote that the eyes saw him and pierced him. His exact phrasing is recorded. He wrote that the creature stood at a height that no man stands. He did not follow it. He returned to his patrol base and wrote the account that night. His commanding officer's response, noted in the margin of the document in different handwriting, read, "Stress of occupation, no action required." The chaplain who preserved the document apparently disagreed with that assessment. He kept the account with a small collection of similar reports from service members across different theatres and postings, filed without official comment, in a box that would not be opened for 60 years. The physical description in the 1946 account, pale, hollow-eyed, at a height no man stands, is consistent across 1,000 miles and 50 years that separate it from Fort McCoy, Bridgeport, Camp Mackall, and the final account in this episode. Joint Base Lewis-McChord, Washington, 2019. The Pacific Northwest training areas attached to Joint Base Lewis-McChord extend into dense coastal forest that is operationally distinct from every other environment in this episode. The trees are old and tall enough that night in those woods is not merely dark. It is a specific kind of closed, airless darkness that experienced Pacific Northwest soldiers describe with a consistency that is almost atmospheric. The account from 2019 comes from a soldier who was pulling a static perimeter watch position during a training rotation. Standard 2-man position. His partner had gone to check in with the adjacent position, leaving him alone for approximately 12 minutes. He described hearing and then seeing a shape moving along the outer edge of the perimeter, not approaching, not retreating, moving parallel to the line in the way the Wisconsin guardsman had described something moving parallel to him 27 years earlier in the hardwood forest of Fort McCoy. He waited. He watched. The shape slowed and then stopped approximately 40 feet away. What he saw was low, pressed nearly to the ground, which is why it had taken him a moment to register it as a vertical form rather than a ground-level disturbance. Long limbs, pale, and visibly so even in the ambient darkness of the forest. He estimated the height of its back from the ground, horizontal and pressed down, as higher than his own torso. He did not want to calculate what its height would be if it stood. It was facing him. He did not move for the entirety of the 12 minutes his partner was away. When his partner returned, the shape was gone. He told his partner what he had seen. His partner's response was the same response that appears in almost every account in this collection. He said, "Yeah, don't put that in the report. 5 accounts, 4 states and 1 country, 5 decades, Army, Marine Corps and Army Reserve, mountain terrain, flat forest, hill country drainage, hardwood winter and Pacific coastal timber." The consistent elements across all 5 accounts are not the details that a person manufacturing a story would reach for. They are operational details, timing details, institutional details, the way the accounts are not reported. The way the witnesses process what they have seen inside a professional environment that gives them no category to put it in. The 12-minute perimeter absence. The 5 minutes of watching a rock face. The 4 men who did not discuss what they had all seen for 3 weeks because there was nothing useful to say. The consistent physical details are worth cataloguing plainly. Pale, hairless, tall beyond the range of human variation, moving low when moving, capable of standing at a height inconsistent with any known species in the areas where these accounts occur. Black eyes when the eyes can be seen. No reaction to noise or light in the pattern of an animal. Observing rather than hunting. That behaviour, the sustained watching without approach, without flight, is the element that witnesses consistently describe as the most disturbing. Not the appearance, not the movement, the attention. Whatever these men saw, it was paying attention to them. There is no official category for these accounts. There is no branch of the United States military that collects them. There is no database. There is no investigation. What there is a pattern across 6 decades and multiple training installations that does not appear in any public record because the men who experienced it made the same professional calculation every time. That the cost of reporting was higher than the cost of carrying it. The Wisconsin guardsman still lives near Fort McCoy. He has driven past the northern training area hundreds of times in 27 years. He does not go into that section of forest on foot. When asked why, he said something that applies to every account in this episode equally well. He said, "Because I already know something is in there." After action, before we close out. This one is more important than usual, so I need you to pay attention. If you have served and you have an account like the ones in this episode, I want to hear from you, not because I am building a database, not because I want to prove anything. The consistent thread in every account I have ever encountered from military personnel is that the institutional environment that trains you to observe and report everything also makes it nearly impossible to report this specific category of thing. The professional cost is too high, so people carry it alone. You do not have to carry it alone. The submission link is in the description and pinned below. First-hand accounts only. Branch, approximate installation, and time frame are helpful. You do not have to use your name. The number of accounts that have come in since this channel started is something I was not prepared for. There will be a follow-up compilation episode. There will probably be several. The account pool is deeper than most people realize, and it is getting deeper. Until next time.